way things are going, sometime in the next few weeks, Minneapolis will do something it's never done before.
There's now appears to be little doubt that this will be the most murderous year in the city's history. Ironically, this comes at a time when New York, of all places, is seeing a decrease in the number of murders. But here in Minneapolis, another young man died on the streets today, the 58th murder victim of the year, and it's only July. The worst year ever for murder was 1991, when 63 people lost their lives to a killer.
The strain of this trend is difficult for the families of the victims, but it's also tough on the system and those whose job it is to solve the crimes. KARE 11's Gail Plawocki has their story in tonight's Extra.
It's become all too familiar a sight, the yellow police ribbon which defines a murder scene. And with just over half the year gone, it seems certain it's something we'll be seeing a lot more of as Minneapolis heads for an all-time homicide record.
You don't know when they're gonna shoot.
While the public may be weary of the violence, of the nightly stories of shootings and stabbings, the trend is taking its toll on more than just the community's sense of security.
Call police and fire on domestic abuse.
They make some 7,000 runs a year, responding to everything from broken bones to what is potentially the city's next murder.
Every once in a while you get there and actually make a difference. Get them packaged up in the ambulance and get them to the hospital. Maybe you made a difference.
But the increase in violence is straining the resources of Hennepin County paramedics. Twice a month now, a situation arises where there is no ambulance to respond to an emergency. The trend is taxing the emotional stamina of these professionals.
You can't let it get to you too much, or this job will be awful difficult, because you never know what that next run is going to be. If it's going to be a shooting or just a real, in general, call that we have.
But when the paramedics can't make a difference and someone becomes a statistic, the body begins its progress through the criminal system. The medical examiner, the first step in holding someone accountable for yet another violent death.
They tend to be younger people. They tend to be gunshot wounds, handguns. The weapons seem to be in a kind of a 9mm, 38 caliber to 48 caliber seems to be a bulk of them anyway.
Gunshot wounds are nothing new to the pathologists at the Hennepin County Medical Examiner's office, but the volume of them is.
This has just kind of oversaturated us. Our dilemma all year long, and there just has never been a year like this in Hennepin County. I've got records going back to just after the turn of the century, and there's never been a year that's even approached this in terms of the volume of violent cases, volume of difficult cases that we've had.
Autopsies of murder victims take considerably longer than natural causes cases. In addition, there's the time spent testifying in court.
It doesn't seem like the gentleman we have may have committed suicide, but
and once again, there's the emotional price paid by everyone involved.
We're feeling a little more pressure just because of the numbers, but with the homicides and trying to deal with families on that, that's the hardest. Most of the homicide victims are young, and to have to tell someone that their loved one was killed, it's very difficult.
But the process goes on, taxing yet another part of the system. Dave Lindman is a ballistics expert with Minneapolis Police Department. He is one of only a handful of such experts in the state. With more than half of this year's murders committed with a firearm, Lindman is stretched to the limit.
I guess I have never been as far behind as what I've been lately. I find it very frustrating. I find it frustrating because I can't help my detectives in homicide, or I can't help my county attorneys who want to prosecute these cases.
Ballistic evidence can be some of the most compelling at trial and can link more than one crime to the same suspect. Emergency medical teams are the first line of defense on the street, and they find satisfaction in preventing the violence from claiming yet another victim. But even at that, their successes sometimes come back to haunt them.
He had a gunshot about a month ago. He's had surgery, and today he's having abdominal pain.
Shot when two men tried to rob him last month, this man is one of the lucky ones. And yet he's likely to pay a price in pain for his survival for the rest of his life. Gail Plawocki, KARE 11 News, Minneapolis.
This year's murder victims range in age from 22 months to 66 years old. Men have been victims more often than women, and young African-American men have suffered the highest murder rates of all.